so far, so that's amazing. We'll review those in our closing remarks, so keep them coming while I get started here. So session 10, I am talking about 3 skills that every private practice RD needs to build trust, get better results, and keep clients retained. This will be a mini session, probably about 10 to 12 minutes. So I'm going to go quickly here, but I hope that this will sort of like whet your appetite, no pun intended, for what it takes to be a really strong private practice RD without the burnout. So private practice and the new RD, what I'm feeling like is happening in our field right now is there is a lot of passion for private practice, whether that's working for one, owning one, either way, or something in between. But there's a lot of passion for it, and there's little experience for it. There seems to be this gap, and it's unfortunate because you get into this field maybe because you worked one-on-one with a dietitian, or you knew that that was the type of role you wanted to have, but you don't have the experience, and therefore maybe aren't as competitive for those roles. And maybe you're ready to give up your dream. But my hypothesis is that I feel like dietitians do need additional hours of coaching, training, and supervision. This happens already with eating disorder dietitians, where they have supervision programs. This also happens in therapy, psychotherapy professions, where they do additional supervision before they actually see clients one-on-one. I feel like that's needed in our field, so that dietitians can effectively build trust, get better results, and keep clients retained. And these are the 3 outcomes that you need to keep your job at, let's say, a practice, or get pay raises because your retention's so good, or grow your business if you decide to have your own business without feeling burnt out. And so through my time as a dietitian, I worked in private practice for the first 5 years. That was my first job, mainly in sports nutrition, then worked for 3 professional sports teams. And it was through my time, my last job in professional sports was with the Chicago Bulls. And I remember totally shifting my mindset around how I would help individual players, because handouts and meal plans and telling them what to do was not working. And so I realized that I needed to have more of a coach approach and less of an expert approach. I dug deeper, and that's where I learned about this company called Well Coaches, which trains healthcare providers in coaching science and behavior change coaching psychology. But the first skill here that I learned from that, as well as self-study, was if you want to be more of a coach and less of an expert, you want to do more listening than talking, more asking than telling, and more reflecting than commenting. We think about the fact that like every session that you have with a client one-on-one, it should not feel like you are giving a TED talk the whole time. It should really be about incorporating, being more of like a coach as opposed to the expert. I think we learn about motivational interviewing and some of these skills in our training, but it's from an expert lens, where it's kind of this idea that we know more than you do about your health and nutrition, when in fact we need to be more side by side with our clients and release that expert mode and go more into the coaching mode. So we're listening for feelings to show empathy. We're using this skill called appreciative inquiry, which you can Google and is used across so many different channels for behavior change, to grow the good. We can use reflections to help them understand themselves, reflect back what they just said, and build trust. Okay, so that's a little taste of the coach approach. And then the second skill is you want your clients to work harder than you. Again, this is like you're not carrying the load of the visit. You're really working side by side, where the client is the decision maker, and they grow into the expert on their own health, and they decide what the final or be the final judge of success is in their health journey. So again, it's like kind of releasing this thought that we know more. We know that they should be having, these balanced plates or whatever, and maybe they should be I don't know, like just an example could be like watering down their juice with water. Like you just think of a random idea that you've said many times to people, but why don't you ask them, like, how would you like to reduce your sugar intake? Or what ideas do you already have about making this change? Or what energy do you have around these ideas? They have those answers. They've thought about these things. And so it's best to like build their self-efficacy and that they can do this, as opposed to, just trying to problem solve and do that work for them. So we want the clients to find their own answers and to create their own response or own possibilities rather than to be given answers or direction by a coach. So the client originated visions, plans, and behaviors are the ones that stick. The more we push someone, the more resistant they become. Of course, we're going to have our dietitian hats on too where needed, where we can ask for permission to share education or talk through like a buffet of ideas of what they might want to work on. So we can be that guide and still have that healthcare provider hat on, but most of the time is sort of spent encouraging their own self-directed plans and getting them to come up with those ideas that would work best for them. Skill number 3 is weekly coaching. So, this is maybe more when you have control over this, where you might be a contractor and trying to do your own practice, and you can set up how you'd want to work with people. Really find that weekly coaching seems to be the best for that sustainable behavior change. So that means like you're checking in on habit experiments, there's space for learning. And the key is that they don't feel ashamed for not hitting a goal. So you end up having them come back, and you don't want them to be in a spot where they feel like, oh, I can't go, I need to impress or like make my dietitian proud. You want to change that so that they don't feel ashamed for not hitting the goal, which can be done through this more coach approach. And the weekly model is evidence-based, so there's a lot of research about this in behavior change world and well-being coaching. And finally, just think about how, I said that burnout can be an issue for people that are working in private practice, but it's easier to have recurring clients and people that you see more often rather than, having 100 people. Like, let's say you had 25 people weekly, there were the same 25 people for 12 weeks versus maybe you have 100 people that are doing monthly visits. That's a lot harder and heavier to keep all those people straight and do that. Of course, you can always, if you're curious about helping more people, you could always do group programs too. But in terms of the individual work, because that's so in depth, it's better to have less people in your caseload, ideally. Okay, so I went through those 3 skills pretty quick, but this idea is that there's this coach approach that we're not really taught in school. We're really just kind of taught like the motivational interviewing, the trans-theoretical change models, but I find that most new RDs don't have that structure. They don't know even how to run a session, or let alone 12 weekly sessions. And so that means that they'll end up having a problem with that and not being successful in that role or being discouraged. But if you do have the coach approach, then that means you're getting a lot of returning clients and there's little burnout because of it. And so then you're living that private practice dream. From there, I just wanted to say that I do think there's a larger impact with dietitians working in private practice now, because there's sorry for the typo, but there's a rapidly increasing demand and a lot of opportunities in this space right now. Companies that are hiring hundreds of dietitians this year to meet the demands of, especially with insurance-based nutrition counseling, companies like Fay Nutrition, Berry Street, all these huge companies, plus large group practices that are growing, like we heard from Wendy at Diabetes Digital. So, just to kind of go quickly through this, I think there's a larger impact where it's important that you're good at this role. And it's hard to do that when you don't have that experience or that training, but there are ways that you can do professional development to get there and still apply any sorts of ways of practice, like being weight inclusive, healthy at every size, like all of that can fit within a framework of coaching. But then when you're doing that, then you're able to impact more people, and people see that you are really passionate about what you do. You're not burnt out, and you become sort of like this inspiration for people in your community that maybe they would want to become dietitians too. It just kind of changes the public's perception of what it might be like to be a dietitian. And we really need more dietitians in our field, especially, I know that there's so many barriers, and especially with the master's degree and the financial impacts. But with private practice, entry-level dietitians, there are ways to make double what a clinical pay would be. And so if dietitians get paid better, then we can elevate the field and we can increase our impact on the health of our country. So it's kind of like this bigger picture for me, that I think that there is a lot we can do in this space, and I'm trying to be a part of that change. So with that, just a couple more minutes here. We did partner with Well Coaches to bring you a dietitian coach approach at a discounted rate. So I'll ask, actually here, I'll be able to add the links now to that. So you can check that out to learn more about that training program. And then from there, we use the dietitian coach approach at All Access Dietitians, which is my group virtual practice. So we do a 12-week program with weekly visits, then clients can continue on. All dietitian coaches on my team do the Well Coaches training, and then all of our fellows, we do have a fellowship for new RDs. They're trained by our dietitian coaches. We will still use our dietitian hat when appropriate, and we offer a buffet of education topics and MNT, of course, but it's definitely led with this idea that we want to have that dietitian coach approach. And finally, there is, if you are not aware, we put this on our Instagram a few times already this year, but I just launched a private practice fellowship earlier this year, which I'm super excited about. So it's a paid 1-year fellowship. And it is because we have a partnership or like a contract with a food is medicine company where we provide dietitians to do nutrition consults. And it's an amazing way to get a high volume of counseling experience with diverse populations. And it's perfect for the entry-level RD. Very different than maybe trying to get a role at a group practice. This is a different type of structure, but you get to work with people and see them like 13 times. So it really kind of mimics the what you would be getting into in private practice. Then there's also 12 hours per month of paid dietitian coach approach and business training and mentorship. So we have classes, live classes. I do office hours every week. I do quarterly mentorship calls, and all my dietitians and myself are all available for questions. Just a really, really like a teaching practice. And so that's what the private practice fellowship is. I'm recruiting always. We're constantly growing. I think we're at 27 fellows right now, and we're hoping to add at least 10 more by the end of the year. So it's just been an incredible way to incorporate and kind of close the gap between you becoming a new dietitian with lots of passion for private practice, but little experience, closing the gap so that you can learn the coach approach and the business side of private practice so that you can grow your career in that, have a fulfilling, well-paying role, and inspire others to become dietitians and impact more people. So that's the fellowship. I encourage you to check that out. It's only for dietitians, so no future dietitians. You have to be a dietitian in order to apply. But that's the fellowship. So again, to summarize, we talked about 3 skills, 3 ways to sort of shift how you practice into more of a coach as a dietitian, and then how that has a larger impact on your experience in private practice, and then a couple opportunities to either get the Well Coaches training or to apply for the fellowship. So I hope that was helpful, and the little final grand finale of the All Access Dietetics Summit. So then I'll just take a couple questions here, if anyone has any about anything that I just mentioned, and then we'll get into closing remarks. So I think I do see a question. Oh yeah, I already answered that. Denise around, you have to be a dietitian. And Michelle asks, does the fellowship cost anything to apply? Nope, there's no application fee involved. Awesome. And yeah, it would be nationwide, any state. Oh, I'm guessing, oh yeah, someone direct messaged me just now. Is it specific to a certain state? No, it's nationwide. We are almost ready to take California fellows, but we are not currently ready. But I would still encourage you to apply because I'll be reviewing California applicants as soon as we're able to hire in that state. It's a little bit more complicated, unfortunately. Okay.
Awesome. And I've been reading through everyone's comments. We'll read through some of them, but let me just grab our slides for our closing announcements. I know if you've stayed on here, you may be a giveaway winner. So we'll email you obviously. But we'll go through the giveaway winners right now. So for Past Class Online and the mock exam, that's Helena Bergeron, Elementi Electrolytes, Bailey Gorman, Camilla Pinn, and Brandon Blount. The $25 Amazon gift cards, Daniela De Meza and Sarah Holman Mathis. 1-year Thrive Market membership, Myra Robles, the Yes Bar Variety Pack, Elias Medina, Denise Tennessee, Lainey Miller, Katie Wang, Megan Rollman, Aya Yanes, Gabriella Furman, Michelle Lee, Lizette Martinez, and Michaela McClure. The Noble Made Variety Sauces and Seasonings, Emily Robinson, Cynthia Clark, Melissa Leo, Ariana Snipes, Terry Martin, Nancy Cherry, Beth Hayes, Daniel Raby, Paola Mendez Martinez, and Caitlin Levels. The Cook with Willow Kitchen Gadget Box, Laura Ann Horwitz. And then the Gorgie Energy Drink Bestseller Pack, Cassie Qualman, Callie Smith, and Kyra McHugh. Amazing. So again, if you're on here, congratulations. You may not be on. We're going to send an email to all of the winners. So we will be in touch with you this week. And some reminders, we do have the summit sale still going on. You can check that out. And we'll drop that chat too. So the links are in the summit toolkit. Details on our RD exam prep program, admissions coaching program, and our mock exam. And thank you all. So do we want to, we have so many amazing chats. Thank you so much, everyone. Everyone learned so much. I love reading what everyone's top takeaways were.
Yeah, it's always great to take a break from working in your career or in your career path and to think about it from like a zoomed out perspective, to think of like all these exciting opportunities that you have ahead of you. We hope that it inspired you. I know a lot of times the path to becoming a dietitian or as a new dietitian can feel very overwhelming. And so we do this summit every year now, our 4th year in a row, because we want you to feel excited and inspired by this career path, because there are so many opportunities and it can be really great if you have that knowledge and confidence and feel empowered. Just like, I feel like that was a big theme of all the speakers today. Like, you got to stick up for yourself. You got to ask for those pay raises. You got to go find those opportunities. It's all there for you for the taking. And we just want to encourage you to take that action and do that. So that's always the point of the summit every year. And I could hear from your comments that was key, that there are some specific actions that you can take to give yourself an amazing career ahead. Maybe it won't always be amazing, as anything with life never is, but it will be mostly amazing. And you'll be really glad you put in this hard work now to get there. So
yes. All right. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate your spending your Sunday with us, and we're looking forward to interacting with you all on social and for more events in the future.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.